How can a loving God send people to hell? This is a problem that all Christians have to face. Not only do we hear it more and more as an objection from culture, but if we're honest with ourselves, it's a problem that should bother us as well, at least on the face of it. The reality is, when we look to answer this question, we need to know what the Bible actually says. I'd like to take a look at just two verses really quick that I think will be clarifying. The first is Ephesians 2, and it deals with the idea of salvation. It says this, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not of your own doing. It is the gift of God, not the result of works, so that no one may boast." Secondly, the Bible does have a lot to say about hell, and I think 2 Thessalonians 1, verse 8 through 9 is clarifying. It says this, "He'll punish those who do not know and obey the gospel of our Lord Jesus. They will be punished with everlasting destruction and shut out from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his might." Here's what those two verses side by side show us about the problem of hell. They show us this, and it's really the answer. God is more gracious than we could ever hope. And secondly, his justice is good. When people object to the idea of hell, usually they have some famous person in mind, a celebrity who did a lot of good works. Sometimes you'll hear it like this, "How could God send somebody like Gandhi to hell?" Look, the reality of that verse shows us this. It's not our good works that send us to heaven. We're justified by faith alone. In other words, it's a gift to us. We don't work our way to heaven. We will fail the moral standards of a perfect, holy God. But, and this is key, even our own moral standards and our own moral expectations, we will fail those as well. Think about it. Be honest with yourself. We've all lied. We've all cheated. We've all taken things that are not our own or taken credit for things that are not our own. We've all wished misfortune or calamity on those who frustrate us, or maybe even people that we just don't like for whatever reason. Secondly, let's take the idea that God's justice is good. The problem of hell, inadvertently, is a very Western problem. I don't think people who bring this objection up really realize what they're saying. It's only in a Western culture, in a wealthy context, where the culture tells you you should always be happy and you should never suffer, that somebody could smile at the idea that evil will ultimately go unpunished. But live in a culture for a short time, or live in a space where injustice is a daily existence, where it's a struggle to survive, and people realize that hell makes sense. They're happy about the fact that God's justice will come down, and one day he'll make all the sad things of the world come untrue. Hell is not full of people who love and want to be in God's presence. In fact, it's full of the opposite. Christians believe that in our finite existence here, as we act, all of our actions point to a final trajectory, and that's this. Our actions are either going to be glorifying and honoring God, or they'll be glorifying and honoring ourselves. In other words, look, people who want God here and who value God's presence here will end up with God. But people who have wanted nothing to do with God, who have never submitted to him, who don't care about his grace and mercy, and in the ultimate sense, God is going to give them what they've always wanted. Most times when people are making this objection, they're not doing so in a vacuum. We need to realize that on the back end of this, or underneath this objection, there are human lives at stake. People are thinking about their loved ones, right? Their friends, their family members, their coworkers. And so rather than reaching for some sort of theological slam dunk, here's what we need to do. We need to be patient and empathetic. We need to walk with these people. We need to get in their shoes. And we need to ask questions that reveal maybe what's happening underneath the surface of this objection. But secondly, we need to realize the problem of hell has been defeated. The gospel of Jesus Christ says, for those who believe in him, they'll be saved. And that message is available to all people.